Okay, today's talk is about setting up goals and affirmations. So we'll move on to that one. Now, do we need to set up goals is a question. I'm almost certain that you're all convinced about the use of goal setting, and it's necessary because, as I said before, we are in a third socio-economic era. It has massive material comforts, lifestyle changes, and in actuality, the making choices begin even before conception. Now, before people conceive babies, they have to decide when they want, how many they want. Once they're born, we have to decide which school they go, what subjects they study, and what specializations they do. Likewise, it goes on for the rest of their lives. They decide about where to live, what to study, what job to do, because the world is open today. It's a global village. For these reasons, there's so much massive opportunities are there. Therefore, each one has to choose what is the best for them, how to live happily. So those are the, because of this so many options, and obviously no one can do all of them. So therefore, it is mandatory that we choose some things that we love to do it, we enjoy doing it. And that's the goal of life. The only way to be happy about anything is to do what you love to do and to live in the family that you like to. So therefore, those goals can only be achieved with some simplified, some setup of rules, regulations, as well as aims in life. Otherwise, it's very tough to continue running about distractions, deviations, social medias. You can't focus on anything and achieve anything. And also, we all know that virtually everything in the world today, whether it is a business or personal associations, organizations, they all have some form of mission statements or vision statements, and all of virtually have the goals. So I take it that we are all convinced setting up goals is a must. Now, question is, what types of areas do we set goals? I mean, as you can see, it of course includes comprehensively about life, whether it is personal, family, financial, professional, or emotional, spiritual. I mean, any area that you think about, basically. So those are the areas we include the goals about. Now, how do we set goals? Writing goals is a must. This is a very important thing. Many people think just a wish as at holidays, perhaps year-end or birthdays, wishing is not going to work, or just thinking is not going to help. Praying is good, but it's not enough to set goals and do anything. So most important thing is you must write. The reason why writing crystallizes your ideas. It makes it comprehensive, as well as it includes a balance in what you are deciding to do in your life. And also it commits you, increases focus. So you must remember that whatever it takes, please write down your goals. Now, when you write down, there is a simple directions that it want to be a direct language, simple language, and it is in first person. The reason is that's where our subconscious can absorb those goals, commands relatively easily. Complicated goals are tough to sink into the mind. That's the reason. Now, once you have goals, of course, goal setting doesn't mean you have to have a long list of goals and high breeding, extremely, glorified goals. That's not the idea at all. Just write what you want to do. If there are only 2 or 3, 4 or 5, doesn't matter. But what it does is that just by writing it and itemizing it for what you need, what you want to do, it crystallizes your thinking. And moreover, prioritizing of goals is very important because there is a economist and also sociologist. His name is Wilfred Pareto. There is a principle called Pareto's principle. What he observed is that about 20% of your activities that you do in your life produces 80% of the results. It seems like this is a general phenomena in many, many things in nature. So the point is that you want to prioritize because you know even among the goals, there are certain goals are a lot more important. Even 2 or 3 goals might be more important than any other goals. Therefore, prioritize based on your importance, urgency, whatever the way you look at it. Not only one-time prioritization, they can also change dynamically as you go along. Things can change, priorities can change, and your allowance allocation of resources may change. Therefore, remember to prioritize. It's a must. Now, you want to be sure that your goals are not conflicting. For example, you want extra money, you want an extra job, and you can't expect to, obviously, you will not be able to spend more time at family, building relationships, extra leisure time is cut into. So these are the conflicts you can't just go opposing conflicting goals. Also, you want to be sure your goals are matching with your ambitions, ideas, as well as particularly your values and ethics, because that's also important thing. You may be doing something that you really morally, conscientiously don't want to do. That's a problem. You can see some of the employees at the Facebook having trouble with it. Now, once you set your goals, whatever they are, you must publicize. It might appear, it looks like that you're publicizing just for boasting or just, that's not the purpose. I realize these are all my experiences in my own life. That's why I'm saying that. The point that you start telling your spouse, perhaps it's your family and friends and peers, what it does is it crystallizes your thoughts, it shatters your fears, it shatters your insecurity, that thinking that, oh, I may fail. You will not think that the failure is an option here, and you will be committed fully. And I deliberately say that. It took a long time for me to say it, things like that. It took a long time to say that I'm a happy man. And I say now it deliberately and easily, because people think, oh, this guy is, what is this? He's happy? What's about? Why is not like that? So point is, you must publicize what you think in a modest way, the way you feel fit. And the most important thing I would recommend that you must memorize your goals, because that will serve a lot of purpose. You will not forget to do the goals all the time if you don't sorry for that. Okay, next slide. Now I'll run through a little bit faster because most of these things you may know it well. So let me say the goal should be specific. You want to be exactly sure what the goal is about. Say I want to read a couple of books, or I want to earn this much money in this time. Like that, it has to be specific. Just wishing is not good. And they also should be measurable, because you want to put some metrics into how you are doing. What's the process you are doing? Are you progressing? How much good results are you getting? So it is very important you measure your goals if you're succeeding. If our goal is ultimate health is to recruit, say, have about 10,000 bodies covered at the end of the year, that's what you're watching all the time. Like that, anything, you got to have some metrics. And also, it's been very well known in the management circles, these goals, it's not enough to just tell the employees to work harder, work greater, that's not enough. You want to be more specific about it. And also, the target should be achievable, and they should be realistic to some extent. So that is what it is. It is challenging as well. It's just not necessarily within the comfort zone. It may be you're pressing beyond the envelope at times, but it has to be. Sometimes they have to be audacious, great goals, but at the same time, they got to have some reasonable degree of achievement, and they should be relevant to your ideas, values, and beliefs, and also they should be time bound. I mean, there's a limit. This 1 year we gain, this is a short term, several years long term, and lifetime goals like that. They should be time bound. Next thing is, I just want to mention a couple of things about my goals. This goal system started, as I said, late in my life when I was probably about 45, 46. I never knew before that it has any value about the goals. But you must understand, I come from an area where, I mean, I have about 10 generational spread. Normally, you have a 2 or 3 generations. From where I came from, the knowledge, information, ideas, sophistication wasn't as much to think about the way we think today in Western world. So anyway, the point was that at some point in time, I decided, look, I want to write. I have a lot of emotions, feelings, but I don't have expression because I didn't have a good formal English education. So I decided to do is to, I was as busy as I was in medical practice, yet I decided that I must improve my writing skills, speaking skills, to do what I'm doing today. And this is decision was made about what is it, 2001. The fact that what I'm doing today was seeded in 2001. It took about nearly 20 years to come where I am now. But it doesn't take that much time for a learned person. But I had a problem with vocabulary, grammar, understanding, and the time allotted. So why did I didn't have time. So I thought I didn't have time to invest. So I decided to wake up at 5. Now, before that, I was getting up at 6:30. Just to give you an illustration of that thing, I got up at that time. For an hour, I wrote whatever I wrote, whatever I could write. The way I wrote, I don't think you want to read that now. But anyway, the point is that I was improving my vocabulary, reading books, and all that stuff. I exercised here. I said read for 2 books a month, but I read probably an average 1 book a month. And also, this is important thing for me, work stressless and effortless. This is always in my mind, as I told you. Everything I felt under stress. It doesn't mean I didn't go under stress. It doesn't mean it wasn't, everything was effortless. I will get into there and then I decide, look, how can I do it better? How can I be stressless? Things like that. So constantly I was winning bit by bit. And I decided to recruit associates and delegate. And I did that successfully for another 6 associates every 2 or 3 years. And it worked out very well. And bond good relationship with the doctors and patients. I realized that's the key to succeed in life. And I wanted to play golf to 80 handicap. I'm still not there. I shoot between 80 and 90s, which is an ambitious goal, which might be achievable. So just to give you an idea, I want to speak. These are every talk, all the points I am making here are based on my personal experiences. And you might just get that hundreds and thousands of others' experiences if you start looking into and they will be useful. Nonetheless, they're very useful if you can do that. Now, what are the benefits of the goal setting? Actually, they anchor you to certain areas of work that you want to do. Otherwise, what happens? You're not actually focused on them. And it is important to stick with, as I said, you saw a few goals I set up. They were always in my mind. And that's why memorization is important. Once you have in the memory, they come into play every situation that you encounter at work or in your life, anywhere. Reflect on it better. If you can reflect every day on those goals in a different settings, different situations, you also figure out how to do them. So it will definitely, this is like an anchor so that you're not swept away by the tides or storms at the shore, okay? Now, second thing it does benefit is it's awareness. You know what you're doing. This is an incredibly powerful feeling. If you know, if only you know everything you say, everything you do, everywhere you're going, how you're moving, this is it is what is called a self-realization that typically comes some point in time to everybody. What they know then, until that time, they were not themselves. They were their parents, they were their teachers, they were the old society, old value system that they're told. At some point in time, you realize, gee, I'm not this. I'm a little different. So you figure out that's awareness. The whole awareness is my my bread and butter in my life. Actually, even my non-profit is called Awareness USA. So everything, even I have investments in the name of awareness investments. Anyway, that's the important thing. Awareness. What you do, you want to know. Why you do, you want to know. Then what happens is that it's a power by itself, and you can steer it differently. You can change the direction. You can do whatever you want to. Just following others or following just role modeling, I mean, following others is not quite as enthusiastic as a happiness is. Well, this is a mindset. When you set your goals, it set your mind on what you're doing, and much can be taught. But this is it's like a like launching, say, a rocket. You already set exactly what you want to do. So that takes away confusion, worries, fears. It's action-oriented stuff. That's the reason. And it incredibly saves your time. Believe me, it is an efficient tool because you're not wasting time about everything, going after everything, wasting time about thinking about things. So those are the things. It increases the focus and success, unquestionably. Thank you. Next slide. Let's see. Now, I want to switch to the affirmations. This is also one of my passionate subject, and I've really, if I gotten better in my life, I've achieved happiness because more of affirmations on my goals. You may wonder, what are the affirmations? How are they different from the goals? Affirmations are like a building, kind of pouring concrete and mortar and power. It's like almost like it's the horsepower of the driving car. That's how affirmations are important. It will be more clearer as we go along on this topic. Now, I like this quote immensely well. What it says is that Bryce Marden is an artist in New York. He said that thought training ourselves, we can train our thoughts. Thought training opportunities are infinite, and the effects of those thought training are eternal, great, success, happiness, everything. But most people don't do that. Instead, they leave it to the chance alone. That's the quote. So just think about yourself. If that is something that inspires you, please go ahead and proceed to set up your goals and affirmations. Now, there's some similarities between goals and affirmations, and there are differences. That's why I combine those together. Again, what are affirmations? It is just a concise, self-empowering statements, whatever they are. Say, for example, my first statement is, I feel great. Anybody I greet every day at any place, including home or outside, I say, I feel great. How are you? I feel great. So that's an affirmation. It's not just a goal or anything. What it is doing is it's a feeling. It's a subconscious thing. It stimulates every cell in your body when you say that way. It's amazing. The body posture changes, hormones change, everything changes. So those are self-affirm. You may have a different ones. It doesn't have to be exact same ones. You can choose what you like, what inspires you, how you inspires. There are many other things mentioned in my book also. So those are the statements, simple statements, as powerful as you want to grow. The second thing is that they actually motivate and energize your goals. Really, each goal is powered by these statements. They emphasize and they make you feel good. For example, second affirmation I have is that learn every day, every way. I love it. And it comes to my mind every time, often now more than before, because this is a beauty. Even while I'm working with an employees that might say, hey, learn every way. That means that I'm learning from my tech, I'm learning from my nursing assistant. I will learn from them as much they want, they can teach me as much as I can tell them. So this is the every way, everywhere. This is a lifetime learning. I mean, learning stops, death begins. That's how. I don't mean literally, but that's the way it is. what I'm saying is the learning is like that. They are energizing and empowering the goals. An anchor to your thoughts, basically the same thing as I said. They make you consolidate your goals and thoughts, more focused, more committed, more dedicated, and you'll be right after them. And also, what is happening, you may be wondering, how are these, do we know for sure if these affirmations really work? I mean, this is not an unquestionable doubt that many people question. And actually, it used to be more doubtful before. But in today's information that I have, scientific information I have, and the experience I had over 30 years, I can assure you, yes, they do work. How do they work? This is how they work. They build habits and attitudes based on your affirmations. How do they help? Because they operate your entire life, how you do it. How that is going to happen scientifically, I will dwell on it in a few more minutes. Now, how to set self-affirmations? As I said, some people write 40, 50, like something like a willpower. I don't think those are all going to be really powerful affirmations. You choose a few, maybe a 10 or a dozen, maximum 10, even less, 5, 6, 2, 3, doesn't matter. Whatever empowers you, that's the affirmation is based on you. If you're a fearful person, you worry about, you low have a self-esteem, let me build my self-esteem. That's it. That's only one affirmation. Then you go and research how to build self-esteem, how to be assertive, what language do I use, what body language I use, how do I converse with others to build up that. So like that, you want to choose good empowering ones, but I have seen some people write about 30, 40 affirmations like a wish list. It's not that, those are not affirmations. They don't work as good if you're just repeating, not feeling it. The difference between the two things is just saying or thinking is different consciously. Actually feeling in your body, they sink into every cell in your body, and I'll tell you what the mechanism it happens. And now, empowering principles are the ones that you want to choose, and I have 10 more affirmations I will go through soon after this. You want to simplify and clarify them based on your ethics and purpose of your life, and we talked about those issues before, so you know that. Again, same thing, you must publicize and memorize them. Memorizing the affirmations is absolutely must. And indeed, they saved me a lot of time, lot of grief in my life. How? Because as soon as a problem hits, there is an affirmation I wrote and I really practice and it works for me. It says that every problem has the seeds of opportunity. Now, it's not easy to sink in straight up because sometimes it looks like it's blind end. It could be occasionally, but most of the time you may find 5%, 10% break or a difference, or maybe back off, maybe resolution. In some form or other, you can always, what is the alternative? Suppose you don't think that way, at least explore that way to see what could be good for you, how to back off. Maybe you were the worst, compromise, retreat, defeat, doesn't matter, accept it. But the point is, this is a very important thing. None at any time, the moment I have a problem hit me, the first thing comes to my mind is, what the opportunity do I have here? Please remember that and try to practice, and you will find those things. Immediately it's not very clear, but you got to cool down your emotion, separate the emotion, and then look through. That's how you will find those things, okay? Now, we said publicize, memorize, the same value, bigger benefit. I'm trying to complete all the slides so that I'll give you a couple of minutes to work with. Now, the mechanism we are talking about, how are these affirmations going to work? And you remember that we talked about human brain. This is a top brain or a cerebrum or cerebral cortex. And this is what made us human. And this brain below is what made us as an animal, as a family. That is a reptile brain they call, lower brain they call, subconscious brain they call. So we have a twin engine here. One, this new one direction, it knows the direction, thinking where to go. The other one is a powerful engine. It's more powerful than this one is, but it has its own mind as well. So issue is how to reconcile these two minds. But basically what I'm trying to tell you is that affirmations work by forming a habit. That's the whole point. Affirmations are thoughts, ideas that you affirm, keep saying it. Every time you say this, what is happening is that it gradually descends those statements. Like, I feel great. It goes down to the midbrain level, and there is hippocampus, amygdala, where there's memory, long-term memories are created, where emotions are blended with them. These thoughts becomes emotional feelings. And once this is done here, then they are sent down to what is called cerebellum. It's interesting that it's not even, you will not find this even in textbooks, because this is a new horizons of science developing in the neuroscience, that the cerebellum apparently is the most powerful organ in our subconscious. And these feelings go down to the cerebellum here, and they are harbored there. And the moment the thought is created, anything thought comes here, this kicks in without you thinking about it. Goes through these emotional charges and memories, emotional memories, and conveys to the cerebellum, and cerebellum is the one who orchestrates our behavior. Not all behaviors 100%, but most of the behaviors come from here. We're automated behaviors. Now, a couple of things about cerebellum. Cerebellum, incidentally, this carries this small organ is only 1/10 of the brain, but it carries about 60% of the neurons in them. And it is also, as I said, it's a reptile brain. It's a subconscious brain. And we are discovering more and more how powerful this is. It has a veto power over this brain. The reason it is that this is studied with so many neurons, acts very fast. It does not waste a second. I mean, we're talking about a millionth of a second it can act. Whereas this one is a little bit slow guy. He has a few nerve cells. He's big. His transportation is poor. He's struggling. He's struggling to control him. So if these two clash, this guy takes over, no question about it. And particularly, this happens because these emotions are charged. This is why when you conscientize, the next slide is going to come, you have to undo this. You got to split those emotions away. This is what I said in the resolution of the conflicts. You got to split the emotions away. You got to cool it, cool thinking, and then it starts deliberating and does the right things for what you want to do. So this is the thing. There are a couple more terms I would like to explain here. We have also found that what is called a neuroplasticity. This is how the mechanism I'm explaining now. What happened, I told you already. Neuroplasticity is basically, to put it simply, what we found out that one time it was believed that the nerve cells can only improve, connect new connections in an early age only. But now we have proved that new nerve cells can come at any age. And this has happened, science has been revealed because they have studied people who had hemiplegias. The dominant hemisphere could compensate and develop few functions. Therefore, the studies prove that the new nerve cells can form. But most importantly, more than within what you have, the nerve cells, when the nerve cells are commanded, given an order, an idea, or physiotherapy, the nerve cells that are to get close to wire, they fire together, wire together. They connect. They form not only wire it, but with repeated things doing repeatedly, the same wires get stronger and longer, and they convey do the message even better. So that's what is this neuroplasticity. This is just a beginning, and we get to know. Actually, they're able to study every nervous cell right now. And the second thing, important thing I want you to know, there are what is called a neuropeptides. These neuropeptides are released from the nerve cells from anywhere in the brain, cortex, or here, but they are the neuropeptides go to every cell surface receptor in the body. So the thought, the emotion are conveyed to the body. Therefore, when it is emotion, it's the body. Every cell in your body is responding to that one. So these are just a little bit insights into what I wanted to talk to you. I'll take questions if you have any later. Now, these are my affirmations. Just I'll remark which worked best for me. This is one of the best affirmations that I've ever practiced. They're not, I didn't discover them. I just want to tell you, I reviewed the literature. I found what is good for me. Like that you do it, because you can also discover if you like something that you personally like. And learn every day, every way. I mean, these are ingrained in my every cell in the body. Feel free, fearless was necessary because at one time I was also a timid guy. I used to worry insecurities, financial, social, cultural. You come to the Western country, obviously, how people receive you. Will you feel it? Will you succeed in practice? Will they accept it? Will they understand? I mean, all these issues will come. I may not tell that outside, but there's internal struggle within the brain. So, but slowly, this felt very. I mean, today, once I self-realized the whole thing, I'm impeccably powerful. I feel at one time or other, when I was self-realizing, I felt, I can even tear the earth into two pieces. That's how powerful you feel if you realize who you are. So like that, what is that? I can't see this very well, but anyway, turn every problem into opportunity. This is one of the biggest. I'll put this category. This is number one. This is number two. This is number two. This is number three. This is number four. And some of the things, number five this is the biggest one also. Conscientize your subconscious. I mean, I use that every time. Wherever I do something, somebody finds out a mistake, somebody criticizes me, I never ever go after them. I will learn from their criticism. Even if they're wrong, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You conclude that they were wrong. Doesn't matter, but still they're helping you by criticizing. But things that didn't really help me, didn't work too much because I didn't persistently work. Or I'm also good on this one. I never ever think one-sided. This is in my life, even as a child. I always thought there are two sides to everything. So even if I have a version of my own in my own personal matters, I will look at the other side openly. But other things like expand the envelope, I mean, I did some, but not something I went too aggressive. I'm still aggressive. I'm more entrepreneurial. I take risks, but somebody could be even more aggressive that way. And its sense of humor, I struggled. I do think I had a sense of humor, but in my family, they don't think that is a great sense of humor. But anyway, I think I have a little bit of a dry sense. I just say something and laugh in myself, and most of the time, others don't get it, or they don't feel it that I said anything terribly humorous, but I'm actually laughing in my own mind. Anyway, that's the other thing. So that's kind of just to give you an okay. Conscious size. The next slide is about conscious size. I'll talk a little bit more. I'll still give you a few more minutes to question. Okay. Now, consciousization. Just first word is, if you go and look in the dictionary, there's no word consciousization. It is my word. I created it for this book. The reason is that every time I wanted to say in an action way, you have to say raise consciousness, your consciousness. It will become a two-word thing. I felt uncomfortable to conscientize the energy, as powerful as conscientization, doesn't need two words, don't convey that impact of conscientization. So what I said, conscientize, also another word I use, conscientize is a verb equivalent to conscious raising. You have to write otherwise. And conscientization is a noun. That's all. So these two words are mine. I put them in the book, and I hope to see if I can send it to the dictionary. It will accept it. I never got any time to do that yet. Now, let us see what we're talking about. I told you how the habits are formed from top, cortical thought to emotions, blended emotions, then go to the cerebellum and their habits, attitudes. Now you can see the arrows, they're a reverse direction. In their habit formation, the arrows were going down. Same picture, not different. But this one here, these habits, attitudes, behaviors, which are automatic, you don't think about that. And it is necessary, let me tell you that. Without that, you can't ride a bike, you can do chew, you can do many things we do automatic. Even many we say automatically about a lot of things. And most of our attitudes are also built that way because of some emotional memory, some education, something that your parents told, something that you learned, something your teachers told, and something you learned from society. All those are automated. This automation is important. Without that, we can be functional, we can be efficient, we can be effective. So a lot of things that you could do automatically should be automated, and which we do, which is a good thing. But the point is that when you automate certain attitudes and habits based on what you learned 30 years ago, 40 years ago, what you learned in the past from past generations, which may or may not be relevant, and you keep doing the same automatically all the time, that can get us in trouble. Because, for example, things are changing, the world is changing so fast as we see it, and you are stuck with the old economy, old jobs, old things won't work. But typically, the new generations pick up new stuff. But so we are in a transitional generation. You need to deal with the old ones when I was young, and now I had to deal with the new ones when I've grown up. So if I can change that way, that's where the conscientization comes. So bottom line is that if you have any ideas that are conflicting, bothering, you try to bring them up, uncouple the emotions from that action or behavior. It may be somebody said they didn't like what you expressed something, they didn't appreciate that. So then think about it. What did I say? Where's then until that time you didn't know what you didn't think about it. You just said it anyway. And I do that many times. I get in trouble also with my wife at times, not thinking what I'm saying, particularly in a proximity. You don't think about everything. You say just as you feel, which is also a good thing to do because that's the freedom to say. But anyway, point is this. You can, once you bring them into conscious area, split them away from emotions, rationally look into reason and logic, then it is what is called consciousizing. Consciousizing your habits, attitude, and also you can conscientize your problems, your challenges, anything. You put an issue down, you worried about it, just write down what to worried about. What am I worried? What can happen? What is worrying me? Once you start looking, then you know, oh, this is familiar thing, I can handle it, things like that. So that's about it. And I now just want to give you an idea that how the cerebrum, that is the new brain, is connected to cerebellum. This is the old brain, or a reptile brain, that a human brain. They are intensely connected. It's amazing. This new literature is coming up so much, and I am convinced in my own life, in my own experience, that the affirmations that I practiced have gone into my body cells and my automatic responses, and it body responds automatically. And I have absolutely no doubt. Now, question is this totally accepted? It is being explored, it is being propagated, but it is not in the textbooks yet. So that gives you about nearly another 10-15 minutes questioning. I may have rushed a little bit on purpose because I don't like to talk too long, because I like taking questions, and I enjoy that better than just talking nonstop. So now I'll open the floor for questioning. If you have any, if you don't, it's up to you. But please feel free, ask anything, whether it is directly relevant or not. Whatever you doubts you have, please feel free to ask a question, or make a comment, whatever you want to do. And that gives you a few minutes, and once which is done, we're done. Is that okay, Melissa?
You did great, Dr. Bikkasani. So I was wondering if you can touch back on why you had mentioned that you feel like it's important to publicize your positive thoughts. I assume you mean like on social media. Were you referring to that?
No, I wasn't talking publicizing in social media. Probably that's not a good idea
Yeah, I
necessarily.
didn't think that was a good idea, so I figured I'd ask you to clarify.
Yeah, I'll tell you why. I mean, I want the publicity is a little bit of overblown word there. I agree with you, because that idea is not really public. The idea is for you to be feeling comfortable to say to your spouse, for example, to your family, for example, to your friends, for example, to your organizations, wherever you are. The reason is that builds your confidence. And not only that, your friends, family, all the relationships also understand what are you up to, and they may suggest something. They can counsel you something if you're too far off the line. It happened to me. I'm just sharing everything, and I have my good friends tell me, "Hey, Purna, just watch this out. This is work. It may not work." And things like that. And so this way, publicity within the circles that you roam around, and that I'm not talking about just publicizing to the public in newspapers or media or anything like that. I mean, if it is a friend, you let them know. Let them know. The reason it builds a self, it states who you are, where you want to go. People, for example, same thing about anything. For example, I don't know about all cultures. I can talk. I'll tell you a good example. Most of the Indian doctors that I know, good friends, and I know about them quite a bit. Perhaps the same thing with all ethnic doctor physicians, or I don't know. I can't tell about for sure. But what they say, they're wealthy, they have enormous resources, but they plead some poverty. Say, if you say, "Oh, I have to pay my son's college fee," that's why he's working or she's working. Both the doctors at home. I'll just give you an idea. You see, what is this mentality? You want to feel poor when you are rich? Same that you want to plead that you are okay person by default when you are happy? See, this is the thing. The reason you may ask me, what's the purpose in publicizing or talking to others? Because we want to raise everybody to your level. Let them share with them. But that's one of the goals. My goal is, why am I on this talk? I want to share what I know best. And I want everybody to learn that this is one way to live. So you may each of you may do a lot better by just sharing what I know best. It doesn't mean I know better, but any one of you will beat me at any level. So that's the idea. So publicity is not a public platform. That is a little overblown word, but this is the reason I use those words on purpose, because it sensitizes the discussion and ideas. Then you ask the question. If I said modestly some ordinary word, you wouldn't have a problem in, "Hey, let's just ask why," like that. Thank you for that question. I appreciate
You're
truly.
welcome.
It's the way
That
to grow.
makes that
Yeah,
makes a lot more sense. It's very similar to like the laws of attraction.
yeah, good.
What you get what you put out there. You put positivity out, you receive positivity back.
Absolutely. And that's a good point you said. You see, this is what happens once you are in this mode. Others will reciprocate the same thing. They know who you are. Everybody is trying to please others, but displeasing is fine. I mean, just encouraging, affirming, giving good things, good tips. This is good. This is not bad. I mean, that's the way. It's the same thing. Would you love to be associated with a happy person or unhappy person? That's very simple. Most people would love to be associated with a happy person. Why? Because they feel happy about it. And I have some classmates. They always going back and forth on emails about things. One of the classmates writes about these are all about 70 plus guys. They're always thinking that we are old, this pain, that problem, this and that. Constantly they're writing what is the life like, what happens when we die. I don't want to say too much about it, but the point is this: they're talking like this. Then he called me and I said, look, what are you doing this? What is this? I told him that the more you talk about this, is another psychological in psychology it works. Whatever you focus, whatever you talk more, you are focusing on that gets worse. If you are thinking of the same thing, if you have a problem, also remember this: if you are upset with anything, of course you should be upset. If you are upset, fine, but try to get over it, think about it a little bit. Instead, you will keep on spinning the same upset with more reasons, more. That means you're focusing it. It's bigger and bigger. It's a grade 1 hurricane becomes a grade 5 hurricane. So anything you focus, it gets worse. So I mean, it's the same thing. That same rule applies to the good things. Suppose you focus on good things, you want to do something constructive, something happy, you focus on it, it gets bigger and bigger. These are psychological principles in human thinking. So I don't know where I'm going, but anyway, I'm filling the time. Feel free to ask any questions like this. So point is this: let me tell you, I told this friend, my dear friend, my classmate, I mean, we have a lot of fun, but I told him, you never ever talk to me about getting old. Shut up, I told him. The reason is the more you talk, it gets worse. Instead, I told him, look, live a happy, enjoyable life. Let one day come, you gone happy, period. But you don't want to think about that. By thinking about that, you're missing the opportunity, what you can enjoy, what you can do, what you can think. All positivism is gone. I mean, I'm not saying we shouldn't be realistic totally or anything, but even reality, reality. So what? So what's the point in talking about things like that? That's my viewpoint. Now, not each of you will agree with that, but please take that as a viewpoint. Anything I say is just a viewpoint, and I also disclose this fact as well. All my opinions are only likely to be positive by 50%. That means that anybody else has equal chance to be correct as much as I am. So always when it comes to opinions, these things, it's 50% chance. Facts and science has a better chances. Obviously, if you prove it, you have evidence that gets 70%, 80%, 90%. Even science has its limitations at 90, 95% percentile, not 100%. Anyway, please, I'll open up if you have any questions.